Greetings, gamers! Welcome to part number 29 of my Let's Play Fire Emblem 9, Path of Radiance, and in today's episode, we're moving on to stage number 3. I cannot wait to deal with more of Oliver's endless, limitless, boundless army. I think I'm going to go ahead and get those final reinforcements, in fact. Oh, ho, 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 ho. I found you at last, my beautiful treasure. It's about time you showed your bloated face, Duke Tenas.
Oh, make no mistake about it. That is the spectacular work of art I paid so much to obtain.
You can definitely tell this was made during a different time. A better time. An older time. What is this, like joke 5, 6, 7, 8 about Oliver? You still claim ownership, do you?
No, wait. Something's different. This is a female? You mean to tell me that yet another Liz? How spectacular! Men bring me that Heron, but do her no harm.
You'll never have her. Again? With this corpulent windbag never learn? Form up, troops. We must protect the Heron. Alright, so Leith and Morum. There is nobody else I would be willing to reinforce here. You can only reinforce 2 per chapter, or 2 per area, I should say. Stage. There's one more stage after this. Be mindful of that. Especially because your reinforcements don't show up until, what was that, turn 3? So one thing you also have to be mindful of is, because I brought Volk, if you do the same thing, you're going to likely have an issue where you're going to have a unit who cannot fight. That's not exactly great, especially because you're going to be swarmed in this particular part. Granted, you're probably going to be swarmed in the next part too, just in a different kind of way, more like sandwiched. And there's a lot more to deal with in the next part than there is here. But swarmed is definitely what I would say this chapter, this part of this chapter does. It is something to keep in mind, as well as the fact that Ike is now carrying Leanne, which is the female Heron princess that we saw. Now, what this means is that he has a permanent, for the rest of these next 2 parts, halving of skill and speed. This is abysmal. One of the things you absolutely want with Ike is to have as much resistance as possible, at least by the next part, just in case he ends up being the target of a certain long-range tome. Now, of course, you can keep him out of the way, but granted, where you start in the game, in the 4th part, is also where a bunch of reinforcements come in from. So because of this, Ike is pretty much out of commission. I try to have him max level by the previous part, and it is time to fight. With that being said, though, you want to have enough units that you can guard the top and the bottom. I would say your stronger units need to be up top at first, and your weaker units can be the ones who guard the bottom. But for my purposes, I actually think I don't really want Stefan here because he doesn't have a ranged option. Yeah, he probably should have used that Night Ward. Ike needs to get thoroughly out of the way. So does Volk. Volk is not going to see any combat in this chapter, or in this part particularly. I think I'm going to put Tormod right here. He can take some hits. I'm also going to put Mist here. I don't know exactly where Morum or Leith are going to reinforce at, because man, it's been a while since I've ever reinforced in these parts. I wanted to do it just to show it, not really for the sake of actually needing to do it. I could have just started the parts with all of the units. And actually, if I'm being honest with you, I recommend you bring all the units that you possibly can to the start of this chapter, the start of these parts, because each one of these parts individually counts as a chapter that you have spent time with your units. And whenever units are fielded, because this is how the support system in this game works, whenever units are fielded in the same map, that is how they boost their support. It's not by staying next to each other, it's not by length of turns, this, that, or the other. It's just per map that they are fielded together with. So you kind of want them fielded together as much as possible in order to get that benefit. Yeah, I think putting Tormod here was a super smart idea. Granted, he's not great against the mages, but I don't really care. I think he's doing a great job. Yeah, you get attacked by way more people in the start of this part than at the top than the bottom. As you can see, I was not attacked by pretty much anyone at the bottom. So it is very important to keep that in mind. And because of that, I recommend that you use your better units up top at first. Granted, I didn't really do that. My better units are definitely not Stefan and Morum and Devden. But they're still good units. It's not like they're bad at this. Now, I do have a restore. I could blow that. It would be nice to be reassured of her weapon rank. Titania can go here and attack and KO this soldier. She actually two-shots with this steel lance, which is pretty fantastic. I appreciate that. Getting folks out of the way. He can reach Titania, but that's no matter, because she can reach him back too. Yeah, I should have attacked with a different weapon here. This one is just going to get healed up again, and then I'm going to have to deal with him this coming up phase. There is nothing worth stealing here. I actually think that the physic is the only thing really worth stealing in all of these parts. There might be something in the next part, but that's why I will be looking, just to be sure. Hilarious that he attacked me before getting healed. Very hilarious. I appreciate that. Yeah, Tormod needs as much Thunder rank as possible. Considering that he did go up to, I believe, a D rank upon promotion, and now he already has a C rank. He's on the right track. But, buddy, does he need even more? And of course, these guys are just going to try to run away. I'm not going to let that happen. Slim sword broke. That's okay. Had to use it up somehow. Yeah, Titania at the start can definitely be down here defending this area by herself. There is no qualms with that. Level 12. Magic, totally unnecessary, but that speed is appreciated.
What took you so long? My claws are long for the feel of human flesh.
Sorry to have kept you waiting. I'll join the fray directly.
It's actually kind of nice that they joined over here, because that means I can take out this healer immediately. Yeah, Leith and Moram and Mordecai, they're not at all necessary for any of this. But I wanted to bring them because they do support other of my units. And why not? If I can support. And all of these here, I might be able to do something about them. Speed. He might be able to double some of them. I'm going to restore you. Just for weapon rank, pretty much. Javelin should be enough. That's nice. And a Pure Water. Now he will have 20 resistance, and these guys will still attack him, even though they have no capability of doing damage to him, just because of how dumb the units are in this game. Iron Sword, of course, because why in the world would I use a Silver Sword or Silver Blade against these fools? Perfect. Titania can take out this Lance Wielder and then immediately be able to deal with the Myrmidon. Because he can reach her. I do want to get this Elfire. You only have to survive for 10 turns in this particular chapter, or part of this chapter. I keep saying that. I'm going to keep saying that, honestly. Yeah, it's just so funny. Why I don't understand. I don't even think it would have been that hard to make the AI such that they said, I'm not going to do that. Some would probably say, well, that's not very realistic. Really? It's not very realistic. For a Thunder Mage to attack somebody he cannot damage. It's not very realistic for them to know that in a video game. Amusing. Yeah, he doubled them all because they were all being weighed down. 2 of them had enough or low enough speed that they were getting doubled, period. Alright, so with that being said, I think it's a good idea to get my other defending units down south because the northern part is pretty much no longer in need of defense whatsoever. You can help, and I wouldn't mind you also. I'm going to put on the hand axe for the time being, and then I'm going to move the rest of my units out of the way because I don't want either Ike or Mordecai to get hit by these guys. No point. You two can stay over here. And you can take out him. After which I'm going to heal up Stefan with Mist. Not a great use of Mend, especially because he doesn't really need the healing. But it is a great way to get that weapon experience points. Plus I'm going to be able to move Mist down south a little bit because she is definitely going to be needed over the next couple of turns for healing. Well, I can't say definitely, but potentially. And that is a maxed magic Mist. I don't think, even with Spirit Dust, I was able to max her magic the last time I did a Let's Play of this. And that's because I early promoted her at 10. Which is not a bad idea. Not at all, especially if you force stats. So if I was going to early promote her at 10, I would make it so that she had to get 5 stats per level up, or I would just reset. And the reason being is because then it would be as if she had gotten her full 20 levels, or close to it. Some people would kind of say that's a bit cheesy, but the problem is that Mist is useless combatively before promotion, and after promotion she's only useful if she has good stats and you have a good forge and so on and so forth. It's kind of, you know, a give and take. You have to You have to be willing to say, well, bonus experience points are there for a reason. They're broken for a reason. They're FUD for a reason. I'm going to use them for that reason. I wonder who this mage down here is going to attack. Okay. Yeah, it makes total sense. Yep. He could actually damage Titania. There's no way he was able to damage either Tormod or Devdan. And the onslaught continues. And then now here's a bunch of units up north. That's okay, because I believe Stefan and Mist will be able to handle them very well. I'm going to keep you two out of the way for now. Don't really need any of my Legue's units for combat in this chapter. It's not why I brought them. I brought them for shove strats, for combat if absolutely necessary, as well as for the fact that they all have items on them that is very pertinent. Legues cannot use any weapons besides their permanently equipped claws, so why not fill their inventories up with weapons for your other teammates? Alright, Tormod, very good job. I wish there were weapon level experience bars in this game. It would be such a great boon. Ooh. Actually dodged. That's kind of insane. And it doesn't matter, even remotely, because I'm going to heal up Titania with Mist. This is one of the reasons, one of the many reasons why I chose Mist and Tormod as my healers. It's good to have a good set of healers. I would never have ever used Rise unless I was going to go for specifically a handicapped run where I want to play with less than useful units, because light magic is so abysmally terrible in this game. You have to basically be on normal or lower with max magic on a bishop for them to do any for him to do any kind of reasonably good damage. And he has to have good speed too. And neither one of those things are necessarily 100% guarantees with Rise, because early promotion is another thing you want to do with one of those kinds of characters. Having a healer who cannot fight before promotion is just not great. It's never been great. And it's one of the reasons why things like Master Seals have always existed in Fire Emblem, so that you can promote your units early. You can have the ability to attack and do damage with those types of units, the ability to defend, and give them a bit more experience points. Well, not really experience points, but base stats and so on and so forth. It's just a good idea all around. Okay. So I have a lot of units to take care of over here. You are gone. Very nice level up, Devdan. I believe that's his best level up he's gotten so far, which is pretty good. Yeah, Titania missing with that hand axe just goes to show that hand axes are not, they're not great. I mean, well, they are great weapons, granted, but they're not great necessarily in all instances because they have an abysmal 55 hit. And time to take out the rest of you. Iron Sword on you. Experience points. None of these guys are close to leveling, so it doesn't matter who I use to attack and beat the other horse with. Granted, I could just let one of my actual units who needs the experience points get the attacks in, but I don't think Stefan's going to get any more than like 1 experience points from this guy. Maybe 1 or 2 for missed. Not really that big a deal. So, Morim has taken him out. Which is perfect, because he got damaged. That means more experience points for missed. The moment that I can get her to an S rank in staves, I'm going to sleep a little bit easier. Yeah, it does kind of make sense that they would attack Tormod. Because he does not do so much damage to them. Granted, he just got a crit. Yeah, attacking Tormod, of course. This is okay. This is perfectly okay. In fact, fantastically okay. The other 2 options that they had there weren't taking much damage from them, if any at all. And were definitely 2-hit KOing. Okay. Heal you up. And of course I will move out of the way. Devdon is getting ready for combat over here. There's an iron bow wielder. Stefan's okay. Alright. Titania is mostly healed up. I think she'll be fine, honestly. If I need to, I could get somebody down there to heal her up regardless, whether it be Mist or Tormod. In fact, as a precautionary, just in case. And that is my turn. Only a couple more turns left, and then this chapter, or this part of the chapter, will be done, and that's pretty fantastic. What's also fantastic is that this guy attacked Titania first, which means that her last 2 uses of that hand axe are getting used for a good purpose. That's awesome. She got a wonderful Elfire, most likely getting sold. I have plenty of fire tomes. I'm never going to need to use them necessarily, except for, I think, maybe 1 or 2 chapters. There might be a benefit to having it alongside Thunder on Tormod, but if he doesn't have an S rank in Thunder by that point, there's no way I'm using it, regardless. Alright, Titania, go ahead and attack, and then I'm going to canto her all the way back as much as possible. And she's going to get healed up. The rest of these guys are going to deal with Tormod's Wrath. These guys up here, not going to be that big a deal. Okay, he can reach Ike. You 2 are going to move out of the way. So is Stefan. And Titania is healed. So that was not necessary, but it's always good to be prepared anyhow. And Devdon should be capable of dealing with just about all of these guys on his own. Does he have the amount of ranged weapons to deal with this? Well, he's not even doing, he's not even two-shotting any of these guys. Kind of unfortunate, to say the least. But with the spear, he can. And taking out all of these guys in one single turn is a good idea. That's A rank on Devdan. He could do with the experience points. It's not necessarily that he is the only one who could do with it, but it does not hinder him to have it, that's for sure. Nice. No damage. Imagine slinging a fireball at an enemy and ting! You just gotta love it. You gotta love it. It's so cool. Sometimes in Fire Emblem, it's interesting the way that the games are made differently. Like, for instance, in Gaiden and Echoes, you can never do less than 1 damage, regardless of how much defense or offense, how much defense the enemy has and offense you have, or vice versa. Which is its own interesting dynamic. Not necessarily something that I would call good, but it is interesting. Ooh, he has a longbow. He thinks that's going to save him from the wrath of Tormod. Well, unfortunately for you, yeah, he's not getting saved from the wrath of Tormod. So this guy has got a venom bow. If I go here, he can reach. Yeah, this is a lot of good weapon level experience points with Tormod. Because, again, granted, he's going to need a lot. He's also at C rank, which also means that he can use the bolting already, which is one of the things I'm going to be putting in his kit, probably next chapter. Actually, next chapter. Having 10 capacity left means that he has room for something like Adept or Vantage or something like that. I've honestly and very seriously thought about what I want to give him. I might do Adept, because I think having an Adept Sage is cool, but I'm not totally sold on that just yet. Okay. Yeah, Astra is... It's not a terrible skill. There's times when it's actually still useful. There's times it's going to proc and you're going to be like, yes, that's the only way I could have killed that enemy with Stefan or whoever. But that doesn't change the fact that it's not a great skill. Might not be terrible at times, but it's not great either. And yes, that's my turn over with. Perfect. Yeah, I might as well use the heavy spear, because I don't really particularly believe that any effective weaponry is all that good. The Regal Sword is probably the only instance where I feel like there's an exception to that, because Ike sorely needs the offense in the early game, and there's a lot of mounted units and armor knights in the early game. So this is also going to seem a bit like a waste, but this is literally just weapon experience. He'll live without the 2 uses. Heavy spear. I can only heal up once more before this chapter is completely over with. And then I'm going to go ahead and finish you off with... Well, I say finish you off, but... Not enough might. Well, I can still do something about that. And Titania takes the final KO. I wait and end my turn.
What vexus, wretches! I am overmatched. I can't believe I'm saying this, but there's another whitey Heron. Retreat. Leave them the prize.
Blast! Duke Tellius has escaped. What will you do, Ike? Shall we go and report back to the Apostle? We've finally got Duke Tellius on the run. I don't intend to stop until we've captured or killed that monster. It's your choice. Commander, if this battle is going to continue, I think we should get more reinforcements. Not a totally bad idea, Titania, but also I don't have any more units that I can reinforcement with that would be useful. Avoiding those human scum cost me time, but I've almost made it to the altar.
Reyson, are you well?
Tibarn, how did you?
Nelucci told us everything.
Oh, allow me to apologize. I left him of my own without a word to you, and this is what happened.
As long as you are unharmed, all is well. Let's go home.
Please, give me a little time. I cannot allow these humans to remain in the forest.
I understand how you feel, but we're completely outnumbered. Let us wait for another day.
Once I stand at the altar, I can take care of them. Every one of them.
You can't mean. Are you thinking of using the forbidden magic?
Yes. I will sing those monsters the dirge of ruin.
Are you mad? You mustn't. I can't allow it.
With permission or without, I do what I must. It is retribution for genocide. Retribution for this forest.
Reyson, you must not let yourself be ruled by despair. Each member of the Heron tribe is an embodiment of balance. Do this and you warp your very existence.
That's what they all said. My family, my tribe, and then they died. The humans were drunk with joy. They laughed, they sang, and then they slaughtered us like livestock. My mother, my brother, my elder sisters, even my infant sister, Leanne, all killed in a single night.
Reyson.
I know, but this thing I intend to do brings dishonor to my house, and yet I cannot forgive. And their past actions weren't enough. Now, they violate the sanctity of the Force without a trace of regret. Accursed humans, I will never forgive them.
Don't you think we understand that?
That's right. Prince Reyson, there's no need for you to reject your honor based on the likes of them.
The tragedy of the Herons, the horror and the pain of that night, lives on in all of us. Let's return to Phoenicius and think of a plan. You are right, this will not stand. The full power of the Hawk Nation is behind you. The humans will pay.
As you wish. Enough already. Enough. Enough. End this episode, please. In fact, I think it's a great idea to do just that. I want to thank you for joining me. If you like my content, please upvote and follow, or like and subscribe, depending on your platform. And while you're at it, have a great and glorious day gaming.